Well, hello there and welcome here on Instagram and also here on Facebook. And today, I come a little bit earlier and I think that today's going to be a really great day. I have a topic, as you can see here on the screen. Maybe you are seeing it on Facebook or not, but as you are coming on, please let me know where is that you're connecting from, your full name, your country, and also type number one if you're watching live, type number two if you're watching on a replay. And today we're going to talk about the seven signs that you're being left behind financially. And yes, this is something that is a sensitive topic for some people, but I'm going to tell you one thing. After I've learned some things about finances, some things about staying ahead and not being left behind, I've been able to not only bless other people and my local community, and it's just beautiful. But today, if you've ever felt that you are not where you want to be financially, just stay on with me for a couple minutes, and we're just going to just tell you some things that you might benefit from. So, my name is Danny Nedelko, and maybe you know me, maybe you don't. I am originally from Mexico. I love to talk about, finances, about business, about network marketing, but more than anything about personal development. Today, I'm gonna just break it down for you. This message might shake you, but it's the truth. And we will all need to hear this message. And that is that we live in a world where people confuse being rich with being wealthy. And let me just break it down. There are many people talking about different things that, money is good, money is bad, money is whatever. I just want you to stay with me for a few minutes, and I want to just break it down into three. Actually, there is, three types of, categories where we can find ourselves in, and there's nothing wrong with just being in one side. But I want to really emphasize that if today you are being behind, you're just one emergency away, one, trip to the hospital away from being in debt. And that's, something that you don't want to experience. So let me break it down. There are three, types of, where we can locate ourselves: the poor, which is barely getting by, and one emergency away from losing everything, as I was telling you. Number two is the rich, people who are rich, people who have good income, they have nice things, but they still trade time for money. And the wealthy, number three is the wealthy people. They build value and they multiply income, and they use money to make more money, and they serve more. They're able to give more to other people, to their communities. Now, the problem is that many people are in, this category that I call the poor rich people. Yes. And you might be like, oh, Danny, you're gonna shake me with this topic. Yes, because these people look successful, but they're one storm away that can wipe them out from everything they have. Today, I'll share you seven steps how you can get by, but also seven signs how you could know that you are being left behind financially. And the more importantly is how to get ahead. So as you're jumping on, please type number one if you're watching live, type number two if you're watching on a replay, so I can say hello to you. So let's dive into these these signs that you're being left behind, and there's nothing wrong or right, or just what it is. And I want you to really not just get stuck there, but think, process the information and act as those people who already have what you want. And today, there are many people talk about that money is bad, money is the root of all evil, and that is the truth. But I'm going to tell you one thing: when you don't have money, all you think is how to get ahead, all you think is how is that you can get better. And one thing, unfortunately, those people who have no money, some of them go into committing crime and doing those things. That is why I do also believe that money is the root of all evil, but I will say the lack of, because whenever you have enough money, you're the right person, because money actually that exposes who you are. It doesn't change you, but exposes the reality inside of your heart. So let's go ahead and see the 7 signs if you're being left behind. Number one, you earn less than 3x your expenses. That is, if your income doesn't triple your bills, you're not free. You're surviving. Freedom begins when you can breathe financially, not when you say, you know what, I'm just going to make enough, with, my job. I'm going to make enough going into, doing different apps, especially here in the United States, going to do Amazon, Instagram, and some of those apps which there's nothing wrong with it if you're at that position. But this is the very first sign that you are one step away from disaster, because the solution, this is the solution, is to create leverage, not just labor, not just work your body until you can't do anything else, because you only have 24 hours. Face it, you cannot have more hours at work. And that's why I teach people how to build a scalable and stable income through network marketing, and where our effort can compound through people and systems even before you can leave your job or what you don't like. I'm going to tell you one thing. Right now, you're depending on the income of your job. So I'm not saying your job is completely a disaster or is wrong. No, you need to be thankful that you have some form of a job. You need to be thankful, because this source is going to ignite you and propel you to be in the next level. So you need to take care of your job before you can quit, before you can do something else. Now, number two, sign that you could know that you're being left behind. You wish instead of you will. You wish you could have this. I wish I could take care of my parents. I wish, older parents. I wish I could go on this vacation. I wish I could go on first class. I wish I could, go and do my hair or my nails every single, or every other week. Or I wish I do this, that, or the other. Instead of, with faith and creativity, just act, and not just think that you maybe one time you wish you had this. Because if you're there where you wish but you don't, it's either of two things: you are broke, which you probably are. I've been there. Or you do not know how to get ahead. Now, if you've been hoping for your situation to change, it is time to decide. So as you're jumping on, thank you so much for being here. Let me know what, and number one, if you're watching live, number two, if you're watching on a replay. Today we're talking about just financial literacy, 7 steps to know that you're going in the wrong direction. So which means, you will know if you're listening to this, if you need to make a change. So step number 3, you have no passive income. If you know you don't have any passive income, what does that mean? Passive income means that you are at your job, you have a job, you're a nurse, you're a doctor, you're whatever, you're working for somebody else. But if you don't have multiple sources of income other than your job, you have a huge problem. You do have a huge problem, because if one job or one client just pays your bills, you're walking in a tight rope. True wealth means that your money is working for you, and you can actually have a job, have your stability, and have those things that you need. But if you don't go and work for multiple streams of income, which could be other investments, other things, that can make you money, you're in problems. And if you're not there, let me tell you, you can start little, and then grow into a place where you have or you can have multiple streams of income. Now, that is why I love the industry I am in, because when I started, I was still serving in the ministry. I was still serving as a missionary, and that extra stream of income became the bridge between what I was doing in the ministry, between the business, the traditional business I had, and I also had a job, throughout the years. And that bridge funded my purpose. I'm not telling you to quit your job. That is a blessing. You need to preserve that job. And if you hate it, let me tell you one thing. You need to get good at it. You need to love it until you know, or until you learn how to create multiple sources of income. Then you can retire or you can do something else. But until then, you need to be a good steward of what you have. You need to be thankful for your job. Now, number four, sign number four of you not being ahead. And that is when you have less than 3 months of savings, less than 3 months of paying your bills in the bank. If you don't have that, my friend, wake up. It's time to sound all the alarms because you need help. You need help if you don't have more than 3 months in your bank account of savings, of paying your bills. If you lose your income and you can't live 90 days, you're not in control. Somebody else is in control. And it's not the government, and it's not your boss. It is you. It is your responsibility to be a good steward. So, financial peace, guys, is not having more, is having margin. You need to start small and you need to build consistency. Even with $200 or $400 a month of monthly residual income, you can change your family's security. Yes. Imagine if you were to have another source of income that got you from 200 to 500 a month dollars in the US or Mexico. These can actually put you ahead. Even if you have a job, it can put you ahead in a way that you can start having those 3 months of your savings in the bank account, which is the security. Sign number five of you're not being ahead, or you need to really pay attention. You believe that money doesn't make you happy. Money doesn't solve things. Money isn't evil, guys. It's neutral. The love of money is the problem, not money itself. Not money itself. Money exposes who you are. Money, if you have money, if you're a good person, you're going to do good things. If you just let me just give you a story. I was in the ministry and I have been in the ministry for many years. I was very young, of course, and I was on my 20s. I think it was 20 years old. And I went into a conference. I was about to be deployed as a missionary from the US to Mexico. Yes, I'm Mexican, but I still was appointed as an associate in missions for an organization here in the United States, for a church. So I went to a ministers conference and there was tons of people. There was like probably 2,000 people in the room. And this conference was called Because of the Times. So just Google it. Amazing conference, really great people, anointed, amazing. So I was there and I was literally broke. I was just, I was living by, I was doing banana bread on the streets and I was selling it, in the streets of Texas. And, I was working in the ministry. I went to this conference and I saw something. I saw that in one day, guys, in one day, that was years and years back, more than 15 years ago, uh, the group of ministers rose $2 million. That would be the equivalent now, probably $4 or $5 million today. And they rose this money to be able to help churches, help missionaries, and help ministers that were sent overseas. So now picture this. I was there and I had nothing. I wanted to give, but I did not know how. I couldn't because there was nothing on my bank account. So imagine if you don't have money, if you don't have money, if you don't make money, you're not going to be able to serve people. You're not going to be able to actually give to your community and actually do good. And I'm telling you that money is not evil, not for you to go and just buy a plane and buy this and just cars. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're able to serve, if you're able to give to charity, to churches, you're able to actually do more than any other people, on anybody else. But I'm going to tell you, you can't give what you don't have. You can't give what you don't have. So in this conference, there were people that were very wealthy and they were giving $100,000. One person gave $1 million. And I'm going to tell you one thing. Most of the other people, there were probably 10% of those donations came from wealthy people. But I'm going to tell you, why can't we be 90% in the room in a charitable, fundraiser, or raising funds for a church or for missionaries or for whoever? Why can't 90% of the population in the United States, and not only in the United States but worldwide, be wealthy? Why can't we? There's enough for everybody. When you make more, you can give more. When you have more, you can serve more. Because I'm going to tell you one thing: if you don't have money, you will have time, and you will use time to serve. But I'm going to tell you the secret: if you don't have money, you really don't have time. So you can't do much. So I'll never forget that experience in this conference. It was amazing to see how money was raised. And I'm going to tell you one thing: we can help you get to where you want to be. Yes, it doesn't require that you're going to be making outrageous money from network marketing or other investments. We can guide you. We are not giving any financial advice, guys, by the way, at all whatsoever, but we can point you in the right direction. So step number 6: to know that you're being left behind. You've stopped growing. You just don't do much. You're just complacent. You're just believing, just because we're in the United States and we're very blessed, or we're in Mexico, that we have, if you have enough for food, for gas, you have AC. I mean, we're not rich, but we're okay. This is a trap. This is a trap. You need to start growing. When you stop growing, that's when you're fading. The wealthy never stop learning. They invest in mentorship, growth, and new skills. And if you can tell me, oh, I don't need money, I'm going to tell you one thing. There is a well-known king, an ancient king called Solomon, and he was very spiritual, yes, by the way. And he was the wealthiest man that ever existed. So you can't tell me that, money is evil when this was used for a good purpose. Now, step number 7: to know that you're in trouble. You trade time for money instead of multiplying time. Yes, this is when you are trading time for money. Of course, we have to have a job. We have to have somewhere where we start. Then you know that you're not in a good position, because when you are exchanging your time, that is your real currency of life. You cannot get more time. You can get more money, but you can't get more time. The rich work for money. The wealthy builds they build systems, and they encourage and they put together groups of people who can multiply wealth. That's what the wealthy do, and that's what I'm inviting you to do. 90% in our country, in the United States, we never talk about wealth creation. We talk about everything else. And in our churches, unfortunately, we preach that money is bad. And then we ask ourselves, why can't we advance? Why can't we get ahead when we're teaching the wrong things? We need to teach properly to our communities that wealth is not bad, but also how to create generational wealth, not only for you, but for your kids. For your kids. It's so unfortunate that I see families, and I'm sorry, but I'm gonna just have to say it. You kick your 18-year-old out of your house. They don't know how to wipe their butt. Come on. And you kick them out. You don't teach them financial literacy. And this is what is wrong with our country in the United States. I mean, in other countries, in Mexico and Europe, you see that kids stay with their parents until they get married or until they're more independent. But the problem is that we don't teach financial literacy. So I'm going to tell you one thing. The wealthy build systems that can multiply money. And that's what we teach in network marketing. That's what we teach all day long: duplication and leverage. And I want to tell you one thing: if you saw yourself in even one of these signs, it's time to wake up. Wake up. Not to shame yourself, but to shift, to think about what can I do? Is your mindset. Yes, you need, more multiple sources of income. And that doesn't have to be that you're a super millionaire for you to have investments. You can start now having $200, $500 a month extra. And then you start your fund, your, security fund for your savings. And then you start the fund for investing, and then you compound the things. And then if you add another source of income, it could be, network marketing, it could be anything. God never designed you to live paycheck to paycheck. He said, it is He who gives you the power to create wealth. And this is in Deuteronomy 8 and 8 and 18. You go and find it. And this is for everybody, not just for people in those times, it's for people nowadays. That means the power is already in you, and you need the right vehicle. Now, I want to personally just invite you to help yourself and to move in abundance with purpose. Reach out to me today and message me directly. Let's talk, and I'll show you an exactly step-by-step system that we're using to help people worldwide to create income, freedom, and impact for your family. Now, it is not about selling, it's about transforming, because when you win, your family wins. When you win, your community wins. When you win for your future generations. So comment on the comments ready below, or message me right away, and let's start building your path to true wealth and freedom today. Thank you so much for being here, and we'll see you on